Cool. There we go. Okay. Talk for me, my friend.
Hey, what's up?
Much more on your voice.
Hey,
Yeah.
pretty lady.
Hey.
How's it going? From across the bar over there.
Ooh. John, do you have game?
Oh,
What's your game like?
It's like-
I will admit, I have terrible game.
My game's like, I just like sit back and I don't know. I just like, if I like a girl, I'll like just make eye contact with her and see if she holds it, and like, I'll just like make eye contact with her a bunch, and like I don't really talk that much for a while, and then I don't know, I just talk and get to know somebody. I don't know. Usually I just like, I see if I like a girl and I can like see like in her reaction, like when we make eye contact, if you know, like you can kind of see what kind of thinks about, like, I don't know, you making eye contact, and and then it's just easier to approach somebody after that. So that's kind of my main thing.
Damn, dude, I'm swooning over here. What's up? Welcome to Independence Days. It's Brendon and John. We're back. You know, shit's still going down. Everything's crazy.
Yeah, it's getting crazier
all the time. So, our first story today is, we're just going to lean right into the conspiracy theory shit because it's juicy. You know what I'm saying? It's juicy shit.
provocative.
Yeah, ABC News anchor Amy Rohrbach caught on a hot mic, frustrated that she had interviews with one of the victims, and like all of these leads to the story that I guess the fucking company didn't let her pursue. They made her sit on it 3 years ago.
Yeah, I heard she had like an interview with one of the victims or something.
Yeah, yeah. So this is her on the. This is it.
I've had the story for 3 years. I've had this interview with Virginia Roberts. We would not put it on the air. First of all, I was told, who's Jeffrey Epstein? No one knows who that is. This is a stupid story. Then the palace found out that we had her whole allegations about Prince Andrew and threatened us in a million different ways. We were so afraid we wouldn't be able to interview Kate and Will that also quashed the story. And then Alan Dershowitz was also implicated in it because of the planes. She told me everything. She had pictures. She had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was unbelievable what we had. Clinton. We had everything. I tried for 3 years to get it on, to no avail, and now it's all coming out, and it's like these new revelations, and I freaking had all of it. I'm so pissed right now. Like, every day I get more and more pissed because I'm just like, oh my God, what we had was unreal. Other women backing it up. Hey, yep. Brad Edwards, the attorney, 3 years ago, saying there will come a day when we will realize Jeffrey Epstein was the most prolific pedophile this country has ever known. And I had it all 3 years ago.
So
that's a lot different than what I was reading about.
Yeah,
her cover up, or her covering it up later.
I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's she says that she had sources to back it up, and she talks about the Dershowitz thing.
Yeah,
which saying that went back 3 years ago, where he's saying right now with the girl's suing him for defamation for calling her a liar, and he's countersuing her, saying that she didn't start accusing him until she started lawyering up and everything. I don't know. I don't know.
This is so fishy.
Yeah.
Then this is like approaching,
and like on top of everything, his like with his death being a disputed suicide now, like I mean, we need to get more people looking at that.
That their official excuse was that 2 guards fell asleep at the same time.
It's so
so lazy too, which is exactly what, like, obviously these millionaires and billionaires have been able to buy their way out of everything for so long to avoid consequences. So they're terrible liars. 2 guards fell asleep at the same time. Reports of struggle from the cell. But, like, I mean, who all is implicated in this? It's like the most powerful people, you know?
Right,
Alan Dershowitz.
Family.
I mean, right. The prince, the fucking royal family. We got Clinton, Bill Gates, crusty ass. Like,
yeah, I seen recently. There's an article caption saying that he regrets meeting Epstein.
oh yeah. Well, you know what?
You know, hindsight.
It's one thing if you had, like, met somebody in passing and then later you see on the news it's like, oh, this guy turned out to be a serial killer, we got him. You'd be like, oh man, you know, he stood in front of me in line at Dunkin' Donuts and we struck up a conversation about Lost or something. But, like,
there was something off about him.
But, like, oh, good thing they got him. That's one thing. I regret meeting that guy. Right. The other thing is, like,
was he on the Lolita Express?
He was on the fucking flight logs. Yeah. I believe.
Probably. I mean.
Yeah. I mean, all of this is Ooh. Yeah. We're getting real close to something. Like, we got Michael Bloomberg, former mayor of New York City. He's a billionaire. He's got a net worth of something like $50 billion. Damn. He's throwing his hat into the presidential ring. He's filed paperwork in 1 or 2 states to run for president. And they're getting desperate out there, huh? The billionaires know something's coming.
Or maybe they've seen that Trump became president, so they're like,
fuck it. Yeah. Why not me?
Which is like, I don't know. I mean, why would you? I mean, to be like to want to be under the microscope like that, you must have to, like, I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, they are lazy. They are just used to buying their way into everything and schmoozing. They don't really know how to do anything, you know? They just, like, exploit people and make... You know, you only make that much money by exploiting people, you know? But they must be getting... All of them must be getting scared. Bill Gates has come out as being, like, a dick. He's like, all right, everybody, mask off. I'm not really that benevolent. You know, I don't want to get taxed, you know?
Right.
He's like... No, dude, you think you're one of the good ones, but there's, I don't think, a such thing as one of the good ones. You obviously were cool with, you know, putting away some of your morality to hang out with the guy who's got a pedophile plane and a pedophile island.
I mean, I feel like a lot of people vote, like, based off of tax bracket.
For sure, yeah. They're protecting their class interests.
But, like, it's one thing for, you know, a billionaire like fucking the Microsoft guy.
Bill Gates.
Yeah. It's one thing for him to, like, kind of have a persona of, like, you know, starting, like, a billionaires club to, like, save the world and, like, wanting to, you know, be, like, this charitable guy and everything. And then, like, I don't know, you'd think after, like, billions of dollars, it might not be such a bad idea to, you know, pay money back to your community and like your I don't know, just the society around you.
You're
Like, I
gonna
mean,
be-
it's only gonna come back to you in the long run. Like,
Yeah.
and you have billions of dollars. Like,
Billions!
For one, like your kids, I feel like, you know, your next generation will be like the best off. Like, if you don't give them like billions of dollars to start with, you know, like I mean, it's fine. I mean, inheritance is, you know, totally, you know, fine. Like, that's
Just take it all.
that's fine.
Why not? Take
but,
it.
You know, I think, like, I don't know. I just feel like, you know, you could afford to pay taxes.
Yeah, for sure. And
At
like
that
a
point.
lot
I
of
mean,
it, you know, like even he okay, so here's this fucking guy. And I'm gonna call Bill Gates a nerd now, because he's in a derogatory way, because he's no longer like a cool. I mean, he may never have been cool, but now like more so, Bill.
I've paid over 10 billion in taxes. I paid more than anyone in taxes. But I'm glad to have paid, if I'd had to pay 20 billion, it's fine. But, when you say I should pay 100 billion, okay, then I'm starting to do a little math about what I have left over. Sorry, I'm just kidding.
Like, slippery slope.
Yeah, dude. No, you're gonna be fine. Even if we took 100 billion of his dollars, he's still worth, I think, like 102 or 105 billion dollars.
Yeah.
So
that's
you,
still, like,
if you have $2 billion,
yeah, true.
you're gonna be cool. Like, even
I don't
if
think
you
it's
have-
right to take $100 billion.
Why not?
I just don't think that. I mean, if he made $100 billion, like,
But you don't make. He didn't make $100 billion. He exploited $100 billion. You know, like, if you have workers that are like slaving away in factories in other countries, like working for pennies, then you're stealing the value that they create. That's the only way you can make this much money. You can't possibly work enough in a lifetime to generate a justifiable $100 billion. I would even argue, I mean, millions of dollars. If you make millions of dollars, like,
what
how do you-
what about if you are like an esports, like EA games,
like sponsorships
like
and stuff?
Like, no, like you
that's-
play in tournaments and you win like large sums of. Okay, or like you're a streamer and you
I
get
mean-
like 40 G's a month.
That's okay. You're like doing that on your own. You're creating that wealth.
I mean,
like,
that's still a bit away from getting into the $1 million range.
yeah, you're not exactly. You know, like Bill Gates is trying to be like, oh, but won't you think of the billionaires? All of them could end single-handedly. All of them could end global hunger. They could end the climate crisis. I read somewhere that the climate crisis could only take $300 billion to fix. That's it. So they could choose
Yeah,
to
but that's like, like that takes.
fix it all at once if they wanted to. They really could.
Yeah, but like that's you have nobody wants to be the first one to do that, because that would be such an expensive thing to be the
Well, that's
first,
why we have to
be the first one to do that. Like, because Elon Musk is probably worth like 30 billion now or something after like smoking weed on Joe Rogan. But like that, for like him, that's a $300 billion. That's a lot of money
for one
him.
person. That's more
Yeah.
than he has. But
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
for
he would have to talk a bunch of other people, into giving away billions of dollars.
But it's not gonna happen. We can't.
Like, dude, like he didn't want to pay 20 million, which
right.
which that was more about the principle, I think, than
Yeah.
like the actual money. But I don't know.
But that's the whole point, is that we can't expect. They're not going to be benevolent enough to do that for us. We can't expect them to do that or have a sense of, moral clarity and wake up like Mr. Scrooge on Christmas Day and poke his head out the window and say, "Little boy, what day is it? It's Christmas!" and him throw us all health insurance cards. Or like, fucking, here, your student loans are paid off, like they could do all of that shit.
You get your student loans paid off.
But they think they're moral enough because they do some amount of charity and stuff. But I truly think the charity is mostly for the tax breaks and for PR.
Plus, like, how many charities could just be fronts of getting your money back to you or something, like...
Right.
How many I hear charities are like such a corrupt
Well, you look at the non-for-profit industry in general, like it's all still kind of run like a corporation, and
people still get paid.
I worked for a big non-for-profit theater, and they spent way too much on like just parties and dinners and schmoozing donors, and like that's the whole culture of it.
They
it's
say
still
there's
bloated.
This ridiculous percentage of the amount of money that they get
Yeah.
is just spent on fundraising.
Yeah, it's it's a total shitty like.
And then you have stuff like the Clinton Foundation where, Bill will go to your bank or whatever the fuck and like give a speech, and then he gets $500 million from you, or $500,000.
And Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
I mean, Bill Clinton went to Saudi Arabia.
To his foundation and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, the Saudi Arabia thing too.
Yeah. And I mean, the Trumps too. I mean, they're way more brazen about it and sloppy. I think they're...
Yeah, because he's like, oh, it's my kid's business.
Yeah,
I stepped down.
Yeah. Well,
it's their business.
Yeah. I mean, it's their fake charity, and it's also their hotels, and it's also... God, fucking... Yeah, so, like, the charity shit is... I mean, I don't dispute that the Clinton Foundation has done good, probably more so than Trump's fake child cancer, whatever. But in general...
How many reporters died in vain, like in the name of the Clinton Foundation?
Oh, Jesus. That's fucking deep shit.
How many hitmen were paid off?
Yeah, I mean,
with money raised for the
Clinton
Foundation.
Should have gone to, yeah.
What is that even for? Is it for the Clintons?
I don't know. It's like... Okay, so you put mosquito nets in Africa, but the reason... Like, we shouldn't need charity, We shouldn't live in a society where charities are the only means of taking care of people, and guaranteeing... like a dignified life, like we have to be.
What about indentured servitude?
What?
Well, how else other than charity are you?
I mean,
to?
you can't ask them. You can't expect the people who hold the most wealth and power in the world to just like fix everything, because the only reason they have the most wealth and power is because they have taken from people. You can't ask it from them. You have to tax them. Or if you look at history, you have to
Maybe there's ways we can incentivize.
No, dude, we've done that. We've tried that over and over again, and they always find out that it's more worth their time to subvert the rules. They still get paid more if they subvert the rules or erode regulations and stuff like that. It's always more worth it to buy politicians,
Then we're in the wrong business.
Well, yeah, true that. My excuse would be like, oh, I partied too much in college, but I know those motherfuckers party.
Well, yeah, they're all in like fraternities and like
exactly
jerking off on glass coffins. And
yeah.
Grabbing women by the pussies.
Jesus, yeah, fucking like they are monsters, man. But that's the thing. So we can't.
This is why Kanye's a genius, though, because he looks at Trump and he sees somebody that he could probably beat.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. No, yeah, you're right. But now it's just like a game. It's fucking Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
Game of Thrones, and it's all these like deep narcissists with money are just fucking all, you in the Game of Thrones, you win or you die. And that's kind of like what we're watching unfolding right now. Like, we got Tom Steyer, a billionaire, running for president. Michael Bloomberg, a billionaire, running for president. The number 2 and the number 3 of the top 3 largest donors to politicians in the country. So instead of buying out politicians, they're just cutting the middleman and jumping in themselves.
Right. Because they're saying, like, Trump navigate the waters of being called out for certain stuff that would just destroy a politician.
Right.
Like in the past. And now they're like, well, just, what do they call it? Like, flip and reverse it or just...
Yeah. Well, they're also saying
Spin.
there's a mass movement happening right now. We've seen the largest incidents of strikes and organized labor since the 80s.
That's what we need to do. Like, how that's how you could incentivize like these rich people to like to do what to pay their taxes or like stop using Amazon for a month or whatever.
Yes.
Like, I mean, he's got a shitload of money.
I mean, they lose money on the Amazon shipping too. They're not profiting off of that. They mostly make their money on the web services. And
click on their ads, make them spend more money on their ads, and don't buy anything.
I mean, a boycott would be great.
But it's so hard to organize.
It is hard to. Well, that's why the expanding class consciousness is important.
Let's make a holiday. Boycott day.
It's a holiday.
Boycott a large corporation.
We celebrate. It's a holiday where we celebrate the organizing of workers in the labor movements to leverage power over the owner class to give us concessions. And we call it Labor Day. But you're right, though. That's the fundamental idea behind leftist politics, is that it's people power. It's people leveraging their collective power over the owner class to make them like, that is the moderate position. The radical position is like killing the billionaires, which I'm not saying we should do at all, but I'm saying the moderate position, if we want to be realistic about changing the country, we can't just find the right tax loophole or the tax credits and tax credits here and regulations here and shaving off a bit here and shaving off a bit here. It's understanding that like capitalism is a machine. It's a robot that's programmed to just swallow up as much as possible. And like these guys can be as good to their families or good at heart as possible, but they're always gonna be a billionaire first. Like this guy is shaking over being left with $2 billion. Wow.
I mean,
holy shit.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's just easy to, like, over time to get used to, like, what, like, your life consists of. And for him, it's making a shitload of money very quickly, like, all the time. Yeah. And so, like, he's running off this momentum. He's for, like, his whole life of just of success and just, like, making all this money. And just to think of, like, being cut back. I think like Kevin Hart, when he was on Joe Rogan, he talks, like, Joe Rogan asked him, like, why, like, when's enough? Like, when are you? And he's like why would it enough ever be enough? I'm trying to make my life as most, like, as amazing as I can. He's like he talks about, right, like, his book, like, he's like, Obama has a book, Michelle has a book. He's like, at the end of my life, I'm going to write a book. And he's like, what's going to be in your book? He's like, I want my book to be big, like, so it's for a lot of these people, I think it's going off momentum, just like, not wanting to slow down.
It sounds like an addiction.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
It's-
Fuck yeah. I'm sure they're addicted to money. I'm sure it's really easy to be addicted
Yeah.
to money. But how about this? All right, hear me out.
Uh-huh.
We legalize polygamy
Okay.
to leverage buying power. You just get a
What?
big. We got gay marriage.
Wait. So are you
gay
saying
marriage is legal.
everyone in the country that is
People just
over than
incorporate.
everyone that's over 18 marries each other?
Yeah, so we can.
Holy
so we
shit.
can combine our net worth,
Oh my god.
and then like
That's amazing.
see, that's why they didn't want polygamy to be
Yeah.
a thing.
Because it's like secretly empowering and community.
And now with gay marriage too,
it's community focused.
there's just unlimited potential.
I mean the millennial and the Zoomer generation are the most sexually fluid, people out
Right?
there. Like
I mean, right now, it's a prime time.
it's prime time to really hey, let's talk about this. Let's do another sexual revolution. But this time it's around
You can
class
it would just
politics
be
as well, and we just leverage our really sexy communal marriage situation over the owner class. I mean, we'd be unstoppable. It'd be a revolution of love, baby.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah. I like this.
taking back the.
Yeah. I mean, that's great. I love that.
Putting the gimme in polygamy.
Yeah. Gimme my what I'm worth, boss. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Fun tangent.
That's good shit. Yeah, but fuck Bill Gates. I mean, fuck you, dude. All of these guys could change the world if they wanted to, They're just doing it at their own pace.
Right.
So
Who do you think's doing the best at that?
The billionaires? As far as the billionaires go?
As far as changing the world.
Oh, as
in
far
a
as
positive
changing
way.
the world goes in a positive way, I think Greta Thunberg's my hero
Is she
right
a billionaire?
now. She's not a billionaire. No, she's not.
Is that the girl who where all the memes that say "fuck you, Greta" is from?
Yeah, probably.
She's like the
Where are
seventh
you?
grader.
Where are you reading "fuck you, Greta" memes?
Oh, they're just all over the internet. I'm on Reddit and I didn't get it for a while, so then I had to look up, "fuck you, Greta." What is this? And
Why do people not like Greta Thunberg?
Oh, well, it's because she's the one who's
she's doing the climate
she's
strike.
like a seventh grader. or
Yeah,
something.
she's
not
16.
going to class.
Yeah, she's not.
Well, it's kind of I think it's more conservative people who are we're just saying that she's just not going to class or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's all for not. And then they're also probably climate deniers to begin with, so they don't believe in the whole thing or whatever. So you'll see a big black diesel truck.
Oh God.
With black smoke coming out.
Rolling coal.
And just on the back of it, and a big sticker will just be a skeleton flipping you off and a speech bubble that says "fuck you, Greta."
Oh my God, that's some cursed ass shit, man.
And so
wow, they're really
There's a pretty
they're really
big-
triggered by her.
yeah, it's hashtag "fuck you, Greta."
Wow. I'm from Texas, so you may also be familiar with just big truck truck culture, I guess. I don't know, just
Yeah.
there's such a weird personal connection to having a big truck that's loud as fuck, that rolls coal, and then is white or red
Or black.
or black.
Tinted windows, the big pipe, the big exhaust pipes, coming straight up out of the bed right behind the windows.
Yeah, and it's got a Calvin from Calvin and Hobbes sticker.
The balls.
He's
hanging.
it's Calvin pissing on Nancy Pelosi's
something.
face or Hillary Clinton's face or something. What is the truck thing? And what is the self-own of it's completely for show. Who?
Well, when I was
I don't understand.
When I was living in North Dakota, I worked with a bunch of these guys that were from North Dakota, and we were in the oil field and we were making like really good money. And there's the operator who was 22. He had like a Chevy Duramax, like a 3/4 ton, which is a pretty big truck. And then he had a Dodge, fucking whatever the fuck the Dodge and diesel engine is, but like, and then he's wanting to get the Ford Power Max.
Is it a Hemi?
Or Power Stroke. Yeah, the Hemi. No.
Yeah.
The Hemi's the engine. Or the Hemi's the gas engine, I think. Their diesel engine is called something else.
A Hemi.
Oh, Cummins.
Oh, okay.
Cummins, which is the best diesel engine, they say.
Okay.
Everybody says. Everybody says that's the best. And but anyway, so fuck, I lost where I was
He's
talking
got this
about.
truck.
Yeah. He's got the Dodge truck, he's got the Chevy truck, and then he wants to get the Ford truck. He's like talking, and these are like $60,000, $70,000 trucks or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
Like diesel engines are like $10,000 on top of whatever the truck is.
Damn.
You know, $12,000 or whatever, you know? It depends. And so I'm like, why do you need all three of these trucks or whatever? He's like, I just want all of them. He's like, I want them. And he had the money.
Yeah.
And like, I was like, I just, like, for me, at this time, I was more into cars. And like, you know, cars can just go faster. They're lighter. Like, it's just, you know, I don't know. It just made more sense to me. Like, why would I want to start off with so much weight and everything? And like, I was talking to the operator, and he's like, it's to get something that big, you know, like getting up, going and like putting a chip in it and like going, you know, 70, 80, 90 or whatever. He's like, it's pretty cool. And that was it.
That's
it.
You know, yeah. That's how
really
I feel
get anymore.
That's how I feel like about gun culture too. It's just like, it just feels cool and manly, which I'm like not inherently against guns myself. Like my dad's in the military, and I grew up with like, you know, some guns in the house when I would like hang out with my pops, but again, like a very deeply personal connection to owning a gun and like have it part of your identity has always been kind of weird to me. It's like this, oh, I want to cosplay, you know, my Call of Duty character, and I get to do that when I have like a bunch of guns too, you know, but like these things also kill people, you know.
Well, I mean, a lot of things kill people.
I mean, a lot of things kill people, but guns are like, at least like an M16 is created to kill people.
Toddlers kill people.
Toddlers do kill
with
people.
Guns.
Exactly. I mean, like we're just like swimming in guns. We have 300 million guns in the country. Mm-hmm. We have one for each person, but it's only like a fraction of the country that owns most of it. So a good chunk of the population is swimming in these things that are killing them, you know, like, and most of the gun violence is suicide too.
Well, I mean, I kind of think if someone's going to commit suicide, they're going to do it with a gun, or they're going to do it with other, like, pills, or with a razor blade. Or if you're going to commit suicide, I don't think not having a gun is going to get in your way.
But people who survive suicide attempts are way less likely to commit suicide again.
Yeah.
And we want people to not have something that is like definitely going to kill them. You know, we don't want that to be everywhere. You know,
like, just, I feel like there's so many ways that you can guarantee kill yourself. Like, I don't think taking away. I don't think that's a good argument for.
You're right, but like it's still worth it. Like this is the same argument.
I don't think
like,
it's
gun laws don't. People are gonna break the laws anyway if they want to break the law, which is true. But you also like stop people like that. There should be barriers, you know, like just in the same way that there's barriers to anybody getting behind the wheel of a car and getting on the street, you know, like if you really wanted to, you'll get in a car and you'll get out on the street, but it still keeps like 14-year-olds and like people who can't drive and people who shouldn't drive, and like it still keeps people from
doing it on a regular basis.
From doing it on a regular basis, or just like, we know that domestic abusers are far more likely to commit gun violence against their partners. So it's probably a really good idea to make sure that they can't own a firearm in the house.
But then, so is it, maybe like, it, like, I don't want to sound like I'm on the side of domestic abusers, but I think you would probably want to, like, I mean, would you agree, like, at least they'd have to be, like, some like a reported case of domestic abuse, or like evidence of domestic abuse before you actually like restrict somebody's right to own a weapon.
Yeah, like, for sure. Like, and don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not against gun ownership for people. Like, I personally don't really want to have a gun, and sometimes I think maybe I would like to have a gun, but I don't think like people should have guns that are like specifically made for like battlefields and shit. I think that's wild, in the same way that we can't own hand grenades and drive tanks down the street.
The guns that, like the M16 and stuff, or not the M16, but the AR, like the
AR-15, yeah, like
those are really like just kind of like glorified hunting rifles. I mean, they're not like automatic weapons.
I mean, still, they're semi-automatic.
They don't shoot that big of rounds. Like a hunting rifle can have a bigger.
Yeah, but like that's no one's brought
and a handgun. A handgun can be more deadly than
a handgun can, right?
But
I'm still not talking about a handgun. Like, I'm talking about AR-15s. Like,
I just think
can create it. We've already seen it's been the easiest.
They're not military weapons.
Well, we're talking semantics here.
It's not even semantics.
No. I'm really talking about the ease in which you could kill lots of people in a short amount of time. I don't care if the AR-15 is specifically a weapon of war or not. You can easily.
I just feel like it's misleading to.
I think it's
because they're not what our military. We don't have access to a lot of the weapons that our military has, unless you have like certain licenses, class licenses, or if you're at like a certain gun range or something.
That's fair, but again, like, it's.
I also don't want to come off as like super gun.
I understand.
I just don't like. I don't like the. I mean, I feel like these things are good to talk about. We as a group of like, as a society, can agree like what we want to allow and what we don't want to allow. But I just don't like getting into the government creating laws keeping people from like things that we already have as constitutional rights and everything. Like, I don't like.
Well,
I don't
the
want to bring in government to, like,
the Constitution says certain. The Constitution says well-regulated militias, so I'm here for the well-regulated. Yeah, and it says that was before we had an army. That was specifically for militias to fight against the British. And also, like, I'm not married to the Constitution. The Constitution allowed slavery. The Constitution only gave the right to vote to landowners. The Constitution had the writers of the writers of the Constitution had a real weird fascination with the Romans, and we are the only developed, I think one of the only developed like countries with the Senate, which is a very undemocratic institution. These guys were not democratic people. They were they wrote the Constitution to protect a power of a specific class of people.
Landowners.
White landowning males. And we have since been trying to move away from it. So I'm not like, trust me, I used to be a hardcore libertarian, constitutionalist, originalist, whatever. And now I'm just like, why are we so married to a 250-year-old document written by a bunch of slave-owning white guys who didn't wash their balls. You know what I'm saying? Like, so the Second Amendment still, if you want to use that, like, says well-regulated militia. So I appreciate that we should use, like, I think words matter. So, okay, an AR-15 is not a weapon of war, but
but it's not even just about the words. It really is a different weapon.
Okay,
with
fine,
with
fair.
The round, like
okay, great. So I'm all about banning an AR-15s. I want to. Why not?
Like, let's ban Honda Civics. All Honda Civics. You know, Acura Accords. Our Accords are fine. Honda Accords are fine. Acura Integras are fine. You know, Chevy Cruze. But Honda Civics.
Okay, so what are you saying the big difference is between the AR-15, a gun that has been the murder weapon of choice of almost every mass shooter for the past 5 years? Like,
I don't think that's true. I think a lot of them use handguns.
No, dude. Like the vast majority of them have been AR-15s.
Well, still, I'd say overall, like, my point about the Honda Civic is, like, you know, you can ban one type of gun, but it doesn't really make sense to ban that one gun when you have just like all these other type of guns.
So
that'll work just as good.
Well,
if
then,
not better.
So I guess we should then talk about. Here's where I'm torn. Here's where I'm torn on the issue in general. There's part of me that, like, sees the carnage that's going on, especially in my home state that has pretty relaxed gun laws, but has had a disproportionate amount of, like, school shootings and mass shootings have happened in Texas. And a lot of it is with weapons that fire, that are semi-automatic, that have a big clip, and security guards can only do so much, right? Security guards and police officers can only do so much. You can only turn schools into prisons so much, you know? Like, now we're turning schools into prisons. We've got weapons detectors, we've got police guards in there, we've got and what it's turning into is, like, our kids are getting roughed up more by people with badges. They're treated like inmates when they're going to school. There's more more resources going into cops and drills and like renovations in high school centered around, like, safety in times of a intruder, you know what I'm saying, and not enough going into, like, counseling services and shit like that. So,
it's
like,
just gonna get worse,
and it's only gonna get worse.
Movie theaters,
exactly,
like metal detectors, going into, you know, the Walmart, going to your hospital probably should have.
I mean, yeah, but like
I don't know. Well, it's just,
like, I'm not morally against guns themselves as it is, but, like, I see right now that this problem is getting really out of hand, and a big part of it is also, like, cops and their gun violence and their itchy trigger fingers and their jump to
conclusion
to using their fear to allow them to jump to a fatal choice, you know. Like, my sense is that we're just turning into a giant society where we're, like, always at fucking war. Like, I saw a clip of in New York City in Times Square, a car backfired. And somebody took this video from, like, high up, and you just see, like, crowds of people shrieking, running for their lives, you know, like, we're a country with fucking PTSD, you know, we don't know where we're gonna be, where, like, violence might happen, you know. And I am not specifically morally against guns themselves, but I can see the evidence and know that there are too many out there, you know. We don't have a culture of, like, respect of guns. You know, we don't have a communal sense of it. It's more about a Call of Duty fantasy.
Maybe we need more gun awareness.
I would love more training, a license that expires at your
Classes in high school.
classes, and okay, well, if you want to do that,
Fake
but
guns,
but I don't, and like you shouldn't be being trained to be the savior or the Call of Duty hero or the guy that's gonna save everybody, because then you're always gonna be ready to use it, you know.
Plus, like, I mean, the school systems is a like probably a good place to start for, you know, what's wrong with like a bunch of like with you know the shootings and everything. Like, people are not properly, like, there's the psychology of like what that goes into making, you know, a functional human being, like as from a child growing up.
Yeah,
is we don't have very good school systems, and we
No,
know
we
that.
don't.
We've known that for a long time. So like psychologists have known that there are better ways to teach people, and they do it in other countries.
They do,
and it shows that it works better.
They got rid of homework in other countries.
I think it just shows that, like, you know, they're not. It's not about. You know, like the public school system is producing people that are not going to be like, you know, critical thinkers for, you know, picking, you know, voting on certain things, or even interested in voting, maybe.
Oh, for sure,
and
exactly.
Like, and just be consumers. Like, they, you know, if you were properly, you know, raising children in like the school systems and everything, they'd probably grow up. Like, we wouldn't have so many people on antidepressants and, you know, psychotics, like anti-anxieties and psychotic drugs or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's...
Well, also just, like, dissolving the social safety net, you know?
Yeah.
Just, like, not... you can be, like, on your ass tomorrow. We're all, like, a couple of accidents
living, like, paycheck
or
to paycheck,
honestly. Yes, fucking 78% or something. Wow, that's very specific, but like 78% of people are living paycheck to paycheck, you know. But I think they've been prepping us for like a police state for a while. It happened under Bush. It happened under Obama, and it's definitely happening now
with the terrorist stuff.
With the terrorist stuff first,
with HARP making all these hurricanes, you know, Hurricane Harvey, all the other stuff.
Oh yeah, and well, then you want to talk about the racial shit too, because like every time a big protest happens over a black kid getting shot, they roll tanks into the fucking neighborhood, and people can be protesting as peacefully as possible, but now police departments have military hardware.
Right.
And that's happened,
scary.
And that's fucking scary. And that happened during a time where we had a Democratic president. It's both parties that have been marching us towards a fucking police state this whole time, and now our airports turned into prisons after 9/11. And instead of not fucking around in other countries, we would the government and its owners would rather turn our airports into prisons than to address the cause of terrorism, which is imperial fucking go-arounds in other countries, you know? They would rather turn our prisons into fucking airports, and, like, now our schools are turning into prisons. Prepping us for a while. And even, like, Occupy Wall Street happened, and the mayor of New York fucking crushed heads,
say,
you know?
these mass shootings were planned.
Well,
to spook people.
I mean, they're allowing it to happen. They see that we're at where we're at, and we have an overabundance of guns in the country, and they're just letting it play out. You know, they're not
like, let's undereducate people and not give them the you know, psychological stability that they need, or the financial stability. Like, they've showed that, you know, if you know, people that like start to acquire debt, it really fucks like with your head.
Oh yeah, you're in starvation mode. You know?
And like you're like they'll test you with, you know, like math or whatever, I don't know, like certain reading comprehension or whatever,
Uh-huh.
and it'll really like fuck with your scores. Like
Wow.
your comprehension and everything just your thinking because you're just like thinking about this debt of you, whatever, or like I don't know. It's probably just like I don't know. I didn't read enough.
I mean, I feel that. I've got lots of student debt, you know.
Yeah.
I feel that. It's like kind of, jogging behind me.
Right.
Some days it's right behind me, and some days it's, kind of behind me, but it's always there. It's always there. Yeah. No. Right. Exactly. So the mayor of New York right now, they're really cracking down on turnstile jumping.
What's that?
It's when you can't afford the fare to take the train and you jump the turnstile.
That was
So
allegedly my first train ride here in Chicago.
Allegedly. Well, cops are... they're putting a lot of cops in New York subways right now. For those of you who don't know out there, I've never been to New York. I've never been to New York, but I know a little bit about the transit system over there, and it's falling to shit. It's like a mess. It runs very poorly. Things are falling apart. It's not accessible almost at all either. They don't, Chicago CTA has like elevators at their stops and stuff. It's like a fucking accessibility desert out there, and it's run by the state too. So the state kind of holds it hostage, the funding for New
Instead
York
of the
City's-
city?
Yeah, instead of the city. Well, okay, so the
How
city.
the fuck does that happen?
I know, right? That's insane.
Why don't they just build their own?
I don't
They should
know.
build
I mean,
it
it's
out.
old as fuck, so I have no idea. It's a old ass system.
Oh, they probably can't build it now because they probably don't have room.
Yeah.
don't even have
So
alleys.
they're putting cops in stations now to crack down on fucking turnstile jumping. And I've seen videos of them installing security cameras over each turnstile. And it's like, y'all got all this money to pay cops to stand around and do nothing. They're bullying homeless people. They're bullying black people. They're bullying brown people. And they're writing tickets off for, bullshit. And turnstile jumping as it is, it's like, it's $275 or something like that. You're really going to hire all these cops to monitor poor people for $275 a ride?
I feel like there's probably a better route to go.
Yeah.
other than
Well, I
doing that.
think public transportation should all be free myself.
I mean, I think it would only promote jobs, people being able to get across the city and work, and then therefore paying like their state taxes, like
Yeah.
income taxes.
I'm happy
going
to-
out and paying, like buying more things, paying sales taxes, and
Yeah.
going out drinking more, paying liquor
Sure.
taxes.
Yeah. Agreed. That can only be good. Also, like, why is there shouldn't be profit in any of these things.
You know what we should
Nobody
do?
should be skimming money off the top for themselves off of any of this shit.
Have you ever seen Wild Wild Country?
Yeah.
I haven't, but
Oh, okay.
but I know it's about like the cult that came over from like India or something.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
they basically took over a city.
They took over a town. So
in
it's
Oregon.
this religious group in India. They were in trouble for like tax purposes or something in India. So they moved to Oregon, right? And this is like a mostly rural county, and they took like this big slice of land and they built a commune. Like, watching the documentary is kind of beautiful because it's like, oh, they're doing it. They had like shops and jobs, and they had culture, and they would all also fuck each other, and that was insane.
Right.
And they would do like crazy ritual shit too, but it was like a communist. It was like a spiritual communist, like dream.
Society.
But they fucked the number two of the leadership was fucking around. Yeah. So what should we do?
Well, I feel like that seems like it was going pretty all right.
Yeah.
Up until, whatever happened. Like, but I feel like you could probably do that without doing the bad stuff.
You're talking about communism right now.
I'm not talking about communism.
That's what they were doing.
I'm talking about, I'm talking about going to a small city. Running for public office.
Okay.
Working my way up over a long career.
Uh-huh.
And, getting somewhere where I can actually, do the things that we're talking about right now.
They showed up in mass and turned shit around real quick, though. They did
just
not
ship in the homeless.
They didn't. Oh, they did do that. Yeah, that's
Have
right.
them vote.
Man, I mean, we would need a really generous billionaire to fund this.
Let's just go. We'll build a big house, with 100 rooms, and it'll be like a down on your luck, halfway home or something. And that'll be our front to ship in people to vote for us into office. Then then we can make the decisions about where the taxes go and who gets the tax breaks, and we can what were some of the things we're talking about?
What, taxing rich people and I don't know, guaranteeing social services,
making
healthcare,
the public's
transportation free
and couldn't you do some of these things on small scale and have them grow into a bigger city? If they are, if it is really a superior method where everybody would benefit and it would kind of just grow because you're always feeding back into it instead of taking away from it.
Yeah, well, the best way I think to get a lot of
there's always some motherfucker
productive ideas into the national spotlight is to make it work in a city. Like the $15 minimum wage. New York was one of the last ones to do it, and that was 2 years ago, and it's going pretty well for them over there. And that's something that started in the cities, and it's gonna have to be other things that start in the cities to get the ball rolling on some issues. Right now, there's a campaign in Chicago to do a public takeover of ComEd, the electricity utility, replace the corporate board and the CEO with an elected board, and move the electric utility and the grid towards sustainability and green energy, and to make it publicly owned. And I think that's really great. Man. And now people in California are starting to talk about it too, because of the electric company out there. They caused these fires. So some of the state lawmakers are talking about doing a public takeover of the electricity monopoly that is PG&E out there in California. So,
damn,
we might be. Hey, we're doing it.
That could be a major conspiracy right there.
Cover
up.
The government taking over the cover up,
covering up the fire, saying, is it not a cover up?
Not really. It's kind of out in the open.
Oh,
yeah, because they their grid and their power lines were so unkept for so long, and they were giving bonuses to their CEOs and board members instead. And
this is the problem.
So now all these power lines are causing all these fires, and in the midst of all the fires growing, they're shutting power down for huge chunks of the state for long periods of time. So people don't. Yeah, it's a fucked up situation.
We should have we should have transparency about where taxpayer money goes.
Yeah, hell yeah.
That should be public domain information, and and we should be able to vote, maybe, or decide, for if the city's deciding to build a new building, maybe we should just vote on what contracting company gets to.
I love that.
Instead of them giving it to their brother or something
Yeah. Right.
There should be more of a, I don't know, everyday citizens who we're all paying in money every month out of our paycheck.
Right.
And we do benefit from that a lot. You know, like
Yeah.
we get, you know, clean water if you don't live in Flint. And, like,
Right.
we get, you know, for the most part, safe neighborhoods and stuff. And
Yeah.
I mean, I've had a pretty safe life.
Yeah,
could be my privilege.
Crime has been going down, you know. Schools are like, you know, we're still something like 34, 35 in education in the world, but we
my
still
point is-
go to school, right? Oh, sorry. What's your point?
My point is like, you know, I don't think that we don't have any say about where that money goes.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's taxation without representation in a way.
Yale did a study years ago at this point that was like, they concluded, as if Yale needed to do a study about this, they concluded that the government is not responsive to popular opinion on issues. It's responsive to the donor class, which, duh. But you could look that up, viewers at home. Yale did a study on
Yale?
it. Yale did a study on it, and that's where we're at. I mean, if I had a nickel for every conservative that told me that they don't want to do like universal college, or they don't want to do healthcare because we still got veterans in the streets, and it's like, okay, I see where you're coming from. We can do and should do all of it. There's enough wealth here, you know. There's literally so much, and it's a lot of it's sitting in fucking rich people's bank accounts, you know. I mean, like, we could do all of the things.
True. You know, like I seen this article that was talking about the U.S. yearly budget, and it had like a pie chart, and there's like 33% or something of the taxpayer money is basically like expendable income that they can spend on stuff like, I'm pretty sure, if I remember right, stuff like Social Security and like infrastructure, or just all, like, you know, police like all the stuff that you kind of expect them to like be using your money for. And there's like a large percentage of the pie that's just like, this is money that we can't touch. This goes to something.
It's the military.
The military?
It's the military. We have a bigger military budget than
sure.
the next 10 countries combined.
Because we started that guns race with the rest
arms
of the
race.
world.
Yeah, I know.
We never stopped
And we never fucking stopped. Well, yeah. Well,
and we got some pretty cool shit.
We do.
Out of it. Not just like, not weapon, like, I'm not even talking about weaponry, but like, you know, the public use, like the stuff that ends up being useful to everyday.
I mean,
like,
we could
an everyday
still
use.
just have that and not spend billions
One would
on
argue it's
like,
hard to inspire, like, or like the funding for that technology, like, or the you know, the reasoning to.
People
for so
love
much money.
people love funding NASA though. People love NASA. NASA's
Well, I mean, there was a time when we didn't fund NASA. Was
yeah,
that
well,
because of
it's because it was going.
public opinion,
It
or
was going.
that-
No, it was going into the military. It's going into the military budget.
okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, dude.
I only know so much.
It's okay. The military is like the big gaping black hole.
Right. Where it's like, oh, this year we lost $2 trillion, or we just don't know.
We don't
about
know
where that went. We spent more than that, but
I mean, like, I've seen things about like building multi-million-dollar gas stations in the middle of Afghanistan somewhere, like, and here's what it is. It's just it's contract work. It's contracts to construction companies, trucking companies, oil companies, military hardware manufacturing, weapons manufacturing. Like, it's just so much money to be made from just government contracts, Pentagon contracts, you know. The two richest counties in the country are it's a suburb outside of DC, and it's a suburb in Arizona where John McCain lives, which is also like the headquarters of some weapons manufacturers and shit like that. It's a problem with
well, you know, maybe we're evolving as a society now that we're we're focusing more on returning to the moon, and we're getting closer to Elon Musk's, like, talking about going, like, actually starting his missions to Mars, like, in 2030s, or maybe even before the moon missions. I'm not sure. I haven't seen any updates on that for a while, but, like, maybe we're going to start focusing more, like, maybe that'll fire everybody up about, you know, like, space and shit, and, like, we'll end up, you know, moving more of that budget to, you know, NASA and space travel, and and like that will, you know, definitely have you know, there'll be a bunch, like, new technologies that will definitely come out of, you know, a bunch of stuff like that. I mean, they're already, you know, having quantum computers, you know, getting closer to making some of those. I think, like, I even heard, like, Microsoft is, I think they're making something called, like, the quantum cloud, which is, like, it sounds like it's some sort of, like,
It sounds evil.
You can like go on it with your laptop and like maybe use some kind of quantum calculations or something.
Cloud?
I don't know. It's crazy stuff.
Yeah. I just want to get the military-industrial complex out of it. Just, like, dissolve most of it.
But I mean,
if not all of it, you know.
Their argument, which is a solid argument, is that, like, you don't know what China and Russia are spending their money on, but you could assume they're doing it on, you know, AI and, like, military technology and, you know, like, quantum computers, all the stuff that we're doing. Like, we want to beat them at it because we don't trust them with that technology before us.
But we have a bigger budget than the next 10 countries combined.
Yeah.
That includes China.
And we're still falling behind.
We're not falling behind.
But it's not because of the military. And we're falling apart in other areas like infrastructure.
Our infrastructure,
like
yeah, exactly. So what the fuck are we doing? It's not just it's not just the military that, you know.
Plus you have, like, you know, one of the things they talk about it a lot is that, you know, there's always, you know, every 4 years, every 8 years there's a new president. So
yeah, like,
presidents come and go, politicians, like, come and go, but there's, you know, the people that work in the government for their, like, career, like generals and people that all they know is, like, you know, like, offshore affairs. What do they call that? Like,
diplomacy
diplomacy, between, like, offshore diplomacy or whatever. Like, all they know is, like, you know, their you know, thoughts about whatever the head of ISIS is planning for the past 10 years or whatever, you know, like, that's all they know for, like, their whole life. So, like, they're coming from it from one perspective that's just, like, you know, we have to be on top of these guys or whatever. Or, like, they're just, like, they're blinded in other areas, like, of, like, you know, they're so focused on, like, the military aspect. They think, like, that's, you know, very important, which it is very important. But, like, so then when the new president comes in, and, like, you know, Kennedy talked about this. Like, he said that, you know, when he first became president, he was you know, overwhelmed, and he's like, you know, he had like, right away he had the Bay of Pigs thing, I think, which was, you know, just something he had to figure out what he was going to do with Cuba, and this military had already had this plan like, written up and proposed for the president before Kennedy. And he just had to sign off on it to, like, go off on it. And he's like, he just trusted his advisors because they're in this all the time, and he just trusted them. So, like, I'm sure Trump, like, gives a lot of his like power to his advisors and everything. Like, they say he mainly just campaigns nonstop,
right?
Or whatever.
Right,
he's always he's always the face of his.
He's really trying not to do much
presidency.
Well, I think you're right, too, but that's also why I don't think the CIA should exist. I think the CIA is unaccountable as fuck and does hella atrocities in America and around the world, and exports that. Like, the cruelty of ISIS, they were mimicking they were mimicking CIA black site torture techniques. Like, they were mimicking the hoods and the jumpsuits and all that shit.
Well, weren't we mimicking the Germans?
Well, okay, so my point exactly.
Isn't it the Germans' fault, really?
Well, you're proving my point with that, I guess, because, like, the CIA is a fucking cruel ass, like, secret police, you know, and feeds Yeah, they're a force within themselves in the federal government, and I can't imagine. I can imagine. Yeah, I can imagine the president, feeling the pressure from the intelligence community to do shit. But I think they're fucked up, man. I think a lot of.
Did you listen to the Edward Snowden episode on Joe Rogan?
I did not. I don't really keep up with Joe Rogan.
Well, this one is. I mean, it's Edward Snowden. He doesn't do interviews really that much, and and with Joe Rogan's interview kind of style, like long, 3 hour, 2 hour, whatever.
Wow.
Like it's, they were able to like really just get into a normal conversation, and he was talked a lot about, he talked a lot about how the CIA has I don't know, how like the president candidate and all those people, they kind of have like a hands-off approach with the CIA, and it's just like the CIA really get to do whatever they think they're supposed to be doing, and he talked about the abuse of classified information, and he's like when I was working for he might not have said it was him, he might have said like somebody else or whatever, but he's like, when I was working for this with the CIA, my lunch plans could be classified, like who I was meeting for lunch that day or where I was going for lunch, that could be classified. No, like nobody could know about that, the CIA can just be like, oh, we need money for this. That's classified. You don't need to know the operation, what it or whatever. And then they'll just sign off on it. And I guess the president can just I don't know. I need to know.
Yeah, go listen to that. Go listen to that.
Re-listen. It's a great episode, but
the CIA has done some crazy anti-democratic shit. And the
NSA
and they've toppled democracies around the world, and right now I think they're doing it again, dude.
With who?
With Trump. I don't think they like Trump. I don't think they like Trump, and I don't like Trump at all. I think he's I think he's the fucking fascist. But the CIA is I think has also been doing psychological. Here's my conspiracy theory. I think they're doing psyops on the American people. I think the Russian collusion story with Trump was a psy operation against the American people. I think they colluded with and leaked fake shit to the media. The Steele dossier that was used as part of the basis for the investigation turned out like a lot of it was not real. There was a story that came out that Russia hacked the power grid. Didn't happen.
Is this the against Hillary, like with the emails?
No, it was that Trump colluded directly with the Russian government to get elected.
About his,
get elected and to get information, which
about
he didn't because somebody, Guccifer or whatever, or hacked the Democratic National Committee. They leaked it to.
Is that the whistleblower that everybody's talking?
They leaked it to WikiLeaks, and now they're saying that that's collusion, even though that's not. Yeah. They just leaked something to WikiLeaks and they published it. They just published emails.
Freedom of speech,
which is what WikiLeaks does. They just publish it, and they have a good record. They haven't done anything. They haven't published anything false. So 3 years. Three years of liberals screaming about Russian collusion, and that the Mueller investigation was gonna make everything come out, and then the Mueller investigation is finished, and then he testifies and he releases the report, and it turns out that there was no provable connection or collusion between the Trump campaign and Russian actors. There was a meeting in Trump Tower that nothing came of, apparently, with a lawyer who has some vague connections to the Russian government. But now liberals love the intelligence community. Now the intelligence community thwarted a lot of civil rights movement in the 60s. And the intelligence community has a history of spying on activists. It has a history of diffusing activists. Has a history of torture and shit like that, and overthrowing democracies in other countries. And I think they're doing it here. I don't think they like Trump, but this is a bad precedent. And now, right now, there are whistleblowers, and they're both CIA whistleblowers. And now the Democrats and the mainstream media is going all in on this impeachment thing, which is fucking weak, because there's so much other shit to impeach the guy on. He's an obvious criminal from day one with mobster connections. He's a fucking... Everybody knows these real estate guys launder money.
American president.
Yeah, right? Everybody knows these real estate guys launder...
If America, like, as a whole history of a country was a person.
Yeah.
Just
shady, fucking landlord-ass, fucking
fights with everybody. Start, like, aggressive.
Yeah, rapey as fuck. Yeah, racist. No, he's the worst. He's fucking rich. Yeah. Ugh. But this is it, y'all. This is it. They're like doing an impeachment thing over Trump trying to get dirt on Joe.
Is that just like basically Watergate?
What?
Isn't that what Nixon was trying to like doing when he was recording his opponents? And
yeah, secretly.
That's what Watergate was.
They like broke. No,
and then he got impeached. Or he resigned.
He was recording everything in the White House and was just spying on everybody. But what he got in trouble for was sending guys into the Democratic Party headquarters, and they broke into their records and was like stealing shit at the Watergate Hotel.
Yeah, where Forrest Gump was staying.
So, well, Trump he's an obvious, like, criminal, and they're going after him on this. I think it's weak, but I think the CIA is just trying to, like, get him out of there because they don't like him. I think part of him actually does want to pull out of some of the wars because that would be good for him. I think he's going to do something that he thinks will make him popular before the election.
You think he's going to pull out?
He might pull out of the wars.
Well, that guy didn't get killed.
He might run on legalizing marijuana. Or like, pulling out of Syria. They didn't want him to do that. And the way he did it was garbage. But I think he's just a dumb, sloppy idiot. I don't know, man. He's also fucking... his brain is pudding.
He likes to make big moves.
He likes to make big moves. Okay? Nobody can see me moving from anywhere. I move on them like a bitch, ladies and gentlemen. I move on the CIA. They think they can predict what I'm doing. But I go in there, I say, Syria, you're gone. Boots on the ground, boots off the ground. Bye.
Thank you, next.
Yeah.
I heard, did you hear there's like this comedian who released a Netflix special where he like has a feature where you can skip his political jokes and the Trump jokes.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
What's his name? Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, I'm not going to put that feature on this episode.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, but you know what? That's a good point to end it on.
For sure.
Stay woke, y'all.
Yeah.
Remember that Facebook is always spying on you, and so is Google.
Get rid of Facebook.
Don't
post on it. Like,
don't post. Don't give them that's data they're taking for free. They're making so much money off of your data, and they put it all together with all their other products information that they have on you, and they create personality folders, and they know you deep down inside, and they're trying to change your psychology so you look at more ads more often, buy more shit, and raise stock prices for Facebook.
They're all doing it.
That's
why, there's power in attention. So like you have to give your attention to different outlets that are, like fresh startups, like ones that haven't gone bad yet. They haven't got corrupt yet. You know, they don't have like a lizard running their company. Like,
That's right. Let's just turn Facebook into a public commodity. Let's do that too.
There's alternatives to YouTube and Twitter, and like you just have to make them popular, and then they'll get better, and then you jump on something else.
Just like this show right here.
Before they get bad.
Make us bigger than YouTube, please.
I don't know how that's possible.
All right. Well,
we don't have a video service.
It's time to dream big.
All right, dream big.
Dream big. Dream big. Dream on. Bye.
I'm louder than you, even if I turn it down a little. Take it to the lake, you still can never solve the riddle. I'm on top of the world, even when I'm in the South Pole. And I'm ruder than you, even when I chew with my mouth closed. I know where I'm from.